Hello, Facebook family and friends, and thank you for tuning in again this week. We are 100% virtual, so I look forward to these Facebook Lives with you every week as an opportunity to just connect and talk about not only COVID-19, but what's going on in your household, what concerns that you have, and just trying to be available to offer resources and take questions. Today, I am very excited that Assemblyman Vince Fong is going to be joining in on Facebook Live with us to talk about a myriad of issues, both relating to Sacramento, COVID-19, maybe even just some fun stuff. And I am going to bring him on right now. Let's welcome Assemblyman Vince Fong. Hi, Vince. How are you?
Good. How are you, Suzette?
Good. Thanks for joining in.
How's your husband and daughter?
We're doing very well. I think we're settling into a new normal, right? Which is going to change. But you know,
that's right. Every single day is a new day. But I'm glad you're doing well. And obviously, I want to say to you personally, publicly, thank you for taking care of all the kids. I know most of your viewers know that you run a child care center, and so you're taking care of kids so that their parents who may be nurses or doctors or first responders, that they can go to work. And so I want to publicly thank you for that. And also thank you for Operation Childcare. I saw that the other day that you're collecting cleaning supplies and disinfectant and gloves. So for childcare providers throughout your community. So kudos to you. That's extremely
I'll add to that. If you're listening right now and you have, one extra hand sanitizer that's unused, or one extra little tub of wipes, or a bottle of Lysol that you can donate, right now you can donate in two different places. You can donate at KHTS Radio, which is on Main Street in Newhall, or you can also donate at Supervisor Huber's office Bob Huber's office in Ventura County. I don't have in Simi Valley. I don't have that address, but I'll make sure I get that out to everyone. And we're probably going to start doing some pickups soon in the near future as well as we organize that. Because as Vince mentioned, right now the child care centers that are open are servicing our essential workforce. And all of the PPE equipment, the disinfectant, sprays and wipes, we all know just from our home perspective, are so hard to find. And when we're using them in higher capacities and volumes in childcare settings, it's becoming more and more difficult to find. So please donate if you can. Well, Vince, thanks for plugging that for me.
It's hugely important. I mean, this whole COVID-19 thing has changed how we see a lot of things, but schools and childcare, we kind of took those for granted. But now that we are in this situation, this pandemic, we need to make sure that our first responders can go to work, and they need to if they need to worry about their children, we need to make sure that they're in a clean environment so that they can be taken care of.
Right. Thank you. So I was excited. Well, first of all, I was excited to have, your early support in my primary. This is a seat that we flipped, which is really exciting for the Republican caucus in Sacramento. It's my understanding that this is the first time Republicans have flipped an assembly seat in a presidential year since 1980. So
it is extremely important. Certainly we aren't taking anything for granted. You're running through the tape. I know how hard you're working to get to November. Certainly in this new environment, trying to get out in the community when people are at home. And of course, trying to talk to people in person is clearly the most effective. But we're trying to adapt to this new virtual world that we're in for the moment. But no, absolutely, we're really excited. I'm happy to support you. You are a dynamic young leader that I see a bright future in not only in Republican politics, but in California in general. And I've always said that we need talented people to enter public service. And that's what we need. We have some tremendous challenges now. We had a lot of challenges before this pandemic happened, and those challenges will still exist. The housing crisis, homelessness, the affordability crisis, wildfires, energy production, business climate, all those things exist, but they're now on those problems are going to be on steroids in addition to trying to get out of this pandemic, just because of the economic challenges that we currently have. So to have you and your broad experience coming to Sacramento, I'm extremely excited.
Well, I'm excited, and you're right. I'm not taking anything for granted. We're working hard through November to make it past the finish line. I was really excited, though, to have you jump on board with me, because you're in the 34th Assembly District, which is near and dear to me. You're my neighbor. Yes, you're my neighbor. But also, I don't know if you know that my family is from Kern County originally. When my grandparents came over from Mexico, they came to California to Bakersfield in 1917. So a lot of my family are still in Bakersfield. My dad was born in Bakersfield. My brother was born in Bakersfield. So a lot of my families are your constituency, and they love you. So good job.
Oh, great.
So, but tell me a little bit. Tell everybody from my district that doesn't necessarily know what the 34th district is, a little bit about your district before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of some other.
Sure. So my district is pretty much about 90% of Kern County. So I go from the county lines, so right where we go to LA. So Fraser Park, Pine Mountain Club, right that area, right before you get to Magic Mountain, and then Santa Clarita, and then I go north to Bakersfield, about 90% of Bakersfield. Then I go west to Taft, east through to Tehachapi to Ridgecrest. So we're known for for agriculture. So certainly we're the top 5 ag producing county in America. I think we produce 90% of the carrots in the United States. So those baby carrots that you eat at the grocery store, they're all grown in Bakersfield and Kern County. Wow. 2 families grow them. And we produce oil, we produce renewable energy. So we are the #1 solar producing county in America. We're the #1 oil producing county in America. Wind, a lot of wind energy. So we power the state. And then we have a lot of military installations. So so China Lake Naval Weapons Center in Ridgecrest. We support the Navy. And then Edwards Air Force Base, the base itself is not in my district, but the range is. So all the military testing, so all the missile testing, the armaments, the tracking systems, all that is being tested there. So the really cool stuff is tested there. A lot of cool stuff. We got a lot of cool stuff. So we're military, we're ag, we're energy. Those are our predominant. That's our predominant industries.
Right. So how have you so I think after the primary, I had a week of like a normal life, if campaigning is normal, right? Because that's not normal. Maybe it's normal for us, but yeah, right. And then we had the stay-at-home orders. We'd been talking about COVID-19 for over a month and a half, and we knew to wash our hands. We were getting all these public announcements about what to do, but then the shutdown hit, and it was literally like overnight. Life changed for lots of people. How did life change for you? I know the legislature recessed for a bit, so you've been home.
Yes.
How has life changed for you?
Well, welcome to my home. Everyone has now seen my home at some point in my community now. Certainly we're doing, I'm zoomed out. I've got so many Zoom meetings and FaceTime meetings and conference calls. So that certainly has changed from just the governing side. Certainly there's a lot of demand still from our constituents, folks that I'm sure are still coming to you, but the stay-at-home orders created challenges. Schools were closed, so now they're all going to distance learning. So I've been spending a lot of time trying to deal with the digital divide, helping families get internet, Chromebooks, iPads to kids. We've got buses that are being distributed throughout my community with routers on there, so parents can download homework. So that has been a unique challenge on top of unemployment insurance that a lot of folks are trying to get. I'm sure a number of individuals and families are trying to get unemployment insurance or the pandemic unemployment assistance, the PUA. The EDD has been challenged technology-wise. They've been swamped, and their websites have crashed. So we're trying to deal with that. supporting small businesses, the restaurant industry, all the essential industries have been hurt in a tremendous way. So we're trying to bridge them with some resources.
Right.
We gave the administration emergency money. Certainly some of that money has been used for PPE and ensuring the hospitals have built capacity. Other purchases have been questionable, and we're starting to have that oversight. I just came back from Sacramento on Monday. We're beginning to have oversight hearings to have the administration justify, why are you spending the money that you're spending? And then clearly you're going to have that important role too. I mean, we are a co-equal branch. The legislative branch is the co-equal branch of the administration. And, we need to make sure that we exercise that oversight. So I hope we can get back into session soon. I think that the peak has, I think we passed some of the peak. We're still watching. I mean, things can change. Things are dynamic. But certainly when things happened at the beginning, when we had to stay at home, we were trying to bend the curve. Everyone was talking about that. We did that for the sake of trying to have our hospitals prepare, gather PPE, get hospital capacity. They've done that. At least the hospitals in my community have hospital capacity. So now we're moving into the next phase, which is I encourage the folks listening, and I know you've been leading the charge, is to now begin how do we get our economy moving once we open up our economy? And I personally believe that we need to provide certainty to our businesses and to our small businesses.
Right.
We need to temporarily freeze any regulations that are even being contemplated. We need to freeze and cap taxes and fees right now. We need to provide as much stability to our small businesses and our innovators and our entrepreneurs in California so that they can begin to grow and hire people back once we lift these orders.
Right. So you've been, needless to say, busier than you probably could have been if you were in session in Sacramento. Thank you for that, and for your district.
Your district. Yeah,
right. And
it's more chaotic.
What I think has been kind of amazing from my perspective. I've had less time than normal too, because the preschool is open, and there's just a lot more steps that we have to take to keep our children safe. But what's been so amazing is just to see how resilient Californians are, and just to see the humanity come out in people, and how we can, even though it's hard and it's not easy by any means, we're adapting to some extent. So you were mentioning Chromebooks and Zoom. Sorry if I'm getting a little feedback here. Chromebooks and Zoom, which I have 3 nieces in high school, 2 nieces in junior high, that are all doing Zoom meetings, distance learning, including even my Charlotte turned 3 last week, and we had a Zoom party for her. And it was kind of cool because my family, and my brother lives in Virginia. He was able to jump on. My other brother-in-law from Texas was able to jump on. And my brother-in-law from Texas, we haven't seen him in about 1.5 years. He moved out of California. He's one of the reasons why I decided to run. He moved out of California because it was too expensive to live here. And he could provide for his wife and 3 children in Texas. And my brother, who lives in Virginia, probably won't move back because California is too expensive to live. One of the other moments that kind of catapulted my decision to run for assembly was I was walking into a 7-Eleven with my daughter. Charlotte was just turned 2, or she was 2.5 at the time, actually. And we were getting a Slurpee, and there was a homeless lady on the floor at the storefront, and she was asleep. And Charlotte looks at her and she's like, "Mom, she's sleeping." And what do I tell my 2-year-old does this lady, and I'm thinking, does this lady have a mental health problem? Does she have a drug problem? Do I need to put my daughter back in the car? And I've had my whole mind wrapped around these issues that are affecting my family, housing affordability, and campaigning on those issues. And they are not going to go away because of COVID-19. They're only going to be exacerbated. So what I've been wrapping my mind around, I'm going to go, if I'm so honored to be and blessed to be elected in November, I'm not going to go into the legislature and govern under, record surpluses and record low unemployment. It's going to be quite the contrary. In your mind, what does post-COVID California look like? How will governing be different And what is campaigning going to look like? Not that that's, the most important, but.
Well, the way we interact with our constituents is going to be important, if not even more important, as we move forward. So to be able to interact with each other on Facebook or on Instagram or social media or any virtual platform that it currently exists, extremely important. I think that's going to be. I think we have to do even more of an effort. We have to put more effort into that as well. With now using telephone halls and technology now allows us to do that. But in how we govern, certainly everything we do is going to be extremely important, but even more so. And I think everything needs to be under a larger microscope. So you're right, the homelessness challenges, the business climate challenges that existed in California are just going to be even greater because of the recession that we're in. I'll give you the example for our budget. When I serve on the budget committee. And we've always warned the administration that even though we are saving some money into the rainy day fund, I mean, it's a significant amount. Like I think we had about $20 to $22 billion in our reserve. While that was positive and a good thing, a mild recession was going to wipe that entire reserve out. And then, of course, people talked about the surplus that we had in California. I mean, set aside the pension issue that a lot of people brought up. But now, looking forward, I mean, we just had a committee hearing looking at the outlooks of our budget, and I believe that the surplus is gone. I believe our reserves will be gone, and it will be exhausted. So then, the goal is to get California moving again. We have to revitalize the economy. So what does our budget look like in June? We have to pass a balanced budget in June. I think the governor is going to propose kind of a workload budget in May. We'll look at that. I think that's going to be just to maintain what we have. Because the tax deadlines have been pushed off to July, both on the federal level and the state level, we won't really know how much revenue has come into the state until August. So we're going to have an August kind of revision, and then we'll kind of put more flesh on the budget skeleton that will be passed in June. But, we are preparing for a number of things, a second surge potentially, but not of COVID, but of just on mental health challenges, behavioral health challenges, folks who I think it was just announced today that hospitals can now begin to schedule surgeries. So for those who needed work done for a heart valve or cancer treatments, and I mean, we certainly want to get those things taken care of now before they get worse. So, there could be a second surge on our medical system just because of all the health complications that have occurred because of the stay-at-home orders. So there's going to be a lot of stressors on the budget. And so governing in moving forward is we have to make some important investments. We have to invest in technology. We have to invest in healthcare and our public health systems. We still have to support our law enforcement. We have to improve the business climate. Our state is only successful if businesses can grow, and we need your brother and his family to move back to California, because that is a sign of a healthy economy. And we're going to have that challenge as we compete from state to state. That's even going to be even more magnified. You have Nevada and Texas and Colorado and Idaho and all other places that we compete with state by state. As they begin to implement ways to revitalize their economy, that dynamic is still going to exist.
Right. So I was talking to somebody from the renewable energy industry a couple days ago, a friend of mine, and we were talking about on Monday how the price of the barrel was in the negative, and how in the oil industry, they kind of self-regulate in that if the barrel price drops, then they don't drill or produce as much oil, right? Basic supply and demand. But what that could mean when the government reopens is demand is going to go high very quickly, and gas prices can surge, which got me kind of thinking about the supply chain in general, different industries in general. And don't we have to be very strategic on how we reopen? How is that going to affect industry, and how most importantly do we prevent the cost of living from going sky high when it's already expensive to live in California?
Well, the reopening, so I've encouraged folks in my community, I've encouraged industries throughout California that we need to start having, the industries and the business community has to have those conversations of how to reopen and operate in a post COVID-19 world.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does a restaurant maintain sanitation and cleanliness and make it safe for folks to come? Movies, movie theaters, clothing stores, grocery stores, you name it, hotels, we're all going to be in that situation. Certainly the impact on the oil industry. I live it in my community.
Yeah.
Just we are the #1 oil producing county in America. What happened because of the contracts expiring and going into negative territory. Certainly the price of oil is set in the world market. I think, and of course, what happened with Russia and Saudi Arabia clearly put an additional layer of complexity on the whole market when it comes to energy. But moving forward, that excess supply is going to have to work itself through the supply chain. But I think overall, we need to begin to start reopening parts of our industries, but in a targeted way that's led by science and looking at the public health numbers. But at some point we are going to reopen, and so what do we need to do to ensure that folks rehire? All the federal assistance that's been provided in the state assistance is to bridge small businesses and to bridge Californians to the point where when things reopen, they can start happening again. So are we looking at a V-shaped recovery? Are we looking at a U-shaped recovery where we're going to kind of struggle a little bit and then come out in the last quarter? Are we looking at a W-shaped recovery where we come out and then maybe there's challenges in December and then we come back up again? That's to be seen. But we are in control of our destiny when it comes to that. So the policies that we put in place now, or that we will put in place in the future, will either be fuel to our economic engine, or it will be a wet towel on our recovery. So that's what I was talking about. Like, look, we don't need any more regulations right now. Let's put a temporary freeze. I said this to the administration on Monday. Just because this is happening doesn't mean that the world hasn't stopped turning and that the administration isn't making decisions. And the administration is making decisions that is making it very difficult still to do business in California. I use the example for our farmers. We all go to the grocery store. We need groceries. Even now more than ever, we're cooking from home. We're trying to keep people from panic buying, but people go to the store, they expect fruits and vegetables and products to be on the shelves. But when the governor decides to sue on water supply or issue permits that are going to reduce water deliveries not only to the Central Valley but to Southern California, we're looking at a 200,000 acre-foot loss of water to the state of California because of this permit that now is moving more water out to the ocean than to communities throughout our state. And I would just say to a lot of people don't live in a world of acre feet, but 200,000 acre feet is 65 billion gallons of water. That's 65 billion gallons of water that is not coming to Los Angeles. That's not coming to Bakersfield. That's not coming to the Bay Area, but it's going out to the ocean that we can't use. And so that's happening. That's still happening now. And we're still having that discussion and those fights with the administration. So, that's just one example in the water world. We've got CARB that's looking to, I've just signed a letter with one of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to say, look, why are we putting more regulations on vessels coming into the ports? Why are we hampering the ability of, that's clearly an important supply chain aspect. When we have products coming into LA and Long Beach and the Bay Area, those are the items that go to our stores. Let's not hamper our growth when we can begin to just give businesses the ability, some relief, so that they can grow and expand.
Right, and you totally just answered my next question for you, which is, and it'll be more of a statement from my point now, is that, you know, prior to COVID-19, California's regulatory environment was already crushing to business and really ultimately increasing the cost of living and pushing the workforce out of California. So, and you talked about, you know, CARB and some different agencies. I think this is a huge opportunity for legislators to take a serious look at our regulatory environment and make some regulatory reforms. Whether it's, I'd love to see, you know, a moratorium on CEQA for the next 2 years. And while we take a serious look at what we need to keep with CEQA and what we can get rid of, where is there overlap? Where are there overlapping regulations that we can get rid of out of CEQA, which would in turn spur housing development,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, I agree with you 110%. We should put a moratorium on all of those things, right? There's over 200 agencies in California that regulate different aspects of our economy. Let's put a pause to all of that. Right. I mean, it's interesting that you know, there's this task force and that the governor's formed, and I think Governor Pete Wilson, former governor, was put on it. And he's seen, you know, the Northridge earthquake. We just had our earthquake, a significant earthquake happen in Ridgecrest, the 7.2 and the 7.9 earthquakes. And it's interesting that, you know, when the roads are broken due to earthquakes, they can fix that road in 2 days.
Right.
And they can build. They'll build new buildings. They'll set up, you know, field hospitals. They can do all those things when we can kind of provide some stability and remove all those hurdles. But then when we're out of the crisis, then we put all those hurdles back on. Well, this crisis has clearly driven us into recession. It has put businesses on the verge of bankruptcy, on the verge of closing permanently. So now, look, let's build more housing, let's build more roads, let's build more bridges, let's build more waterways. Not only to make for the long-term health of our state, but for just the short-term economic health of our state. We need businesses to thrive, and for them to thrive, we need to get Sacramento out of the way. Yeah,
we got to be focused and have an expedited economic recovery, and part of that is getting rid of these.
And we need to look at everything. Let's look at every regulation, looking backwards, and say, like, do we really need this? Is it duplicative? I mean, your idea is spot on.
Right. And we have the power of the pen here, right? We don't got to raise taxes. We go through regulations. We use that pen to get rid of them. Power of the pen here. So I can't believe we've been on for 28 minutes. Michelle Martinez does have a question for you, and you kind of just brought it up. She says, talking about campaigns for Vince, what do you think about Governor naming Tom Steyer to lead the Business Recovery Task Force? How is California supposed to work with the federal government and get federal funding when he has a personal crusade against the president? I mean, I would think that there's some positives and negatives having Tom Steyer on the task force.
You know, my hope, look, you know, Tom Steyer has his own worldview. It's a worldview that I don't agree with. I think we need our economy booming, and that means that we need everyone working. We need energy production. We need affordable, abundant energy, and that comes from both renewable and from petroleum. So I think that, especially as we need to get our economy going, that's the case. But look, you and I, you know, we will be elected, and we are elected to solve problems. You know, we're problem solvers. And at the end of the day, we have to work with whoever is in office. I am very appreciative that the governor is working with our president. I believe that today there was an announcement that the president has committed to California additional swabs so that we can ramp up our testing. So in this period of time, we need to come together to address this pandemic. But yes, there are disagreements in terms of how we deal with our economy and how we get it to grow. You and I share the view that we need to reduce the hurdles on businesses, allow innovators to innovate, allow entrepreneurs to produce and to do the things that they need to do to develop the new advancements that's going to make our economy grow. But if we have individuals that are going to somehow say that we can continue to increase taxes or increase regulations or want to put businesses out of business and somehow allow winners and losers to be chosen by Sacramento. That is the wrong framework and the wrong way to actually get our economy going and to actually make California stronger.
Right. So I am, my sentiments exactly. I'm thankful that that task force does have Pete Wilson on it. I understand Richard Reardon is also somebody that they're looking at that task force. And there is, you know, there was some bipartisan effort to bring together a bipartisan task force, including our great leader, Marie Waldron, that also is going to sit on that committee. And I'm very surprised actually at the working relationship and level of maturity that Governor Newsom and Trump have been able to develop over this crisis. And it's, you know, I'm proud to be a Californian because of how great that relationship is working right now. That doesn't mean that he's perfect by any means, and I don't have a problem with the governor. But right now, I like that he's working with our president.
The way we describe it is that every community right now, we see each other as a family. You are taking care of your family, as in your daughter and your husband, but you're also taking care of your community at large, which is also its own family. And I believe that we in Kern County, we consider ourselves a family too, and we have to take care of each other. Yep. And that's how I view things right now. And if anyone is hurting or in need right now, we need to do what we can to help them.
So two things. We've been talking for almost 30 minutes. I know we both have some busy schedules here. I have one last question for you, and it's actually pretty important. Usually I like to end with a fun question, but this is fun. There is essentially, you know, majority party rule in Sacramento. We are in a super minority as Republicans in Sacramento. And if anything, this next question isn't about partisanship. It's truly about needing balance in Sacramento so that California can work for every Californian. How do we bring balance back to Sacramento?
So the way you described it is perfect. We need balance. And the way that we get balance in Sacramento is that we have to elect fresh faces and new people to bring that balance to our state. And so from what the people can do, look, at the end of the day, the power rests with the people. The communities that we are honored to live in and represent, they loan us that power every 2 years. And then of course they can reassess the job that we do after that every 2 years. But that's the key, is that the only way that we change the way and the direction of how things are done in Sacramento and in our state government is that we have to determine who we send to represent them. And so if we want to change our state for the better, and I believe you and I do, then we need to make sure that we elect people that share a common sense viewpoint to not only to the economy, but to the other challenges that faces our society. So I always encourage folks, keep the faith, don't lose hope. The public is waking up and they understand the importance of what state government and the role it has in our daily lives. And so when we elect young, talented people like you and bring that passion and that power and that values common sense, we can exercise that power for the good of everybody.
Right. Well, I want to say like us, because you're in that same category. We are, I think, fresh. We're the new breed. We're the modern Republicans. We are the future of this state. And I will be very lucky to serve with you should my district give me that honor. Thank you.
I would say this. Yeah, we reflect our community. You know, as an Asian American representing Kern County, as a Latina, as a millennial representing Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, and all the way to the Lancaster Palmdale area. You know, we represent kind of the new fresh faces of not only the Republican Party but of California, and we need new leaders. It's time for our generation to step up and take the reins, and I look forward to serving with you.
Well, thanks for hopping on, Vince, and we'll have to do this again soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I hope that you enjoyed that amazing conversation that I feel like I had with Assemblyman Vince Fong from Kern County. I do just want to, before I jump off with you right now, well, first of all, I'll take this off, but if you are currently a business owner and you are struggling, whether you're essential or non-essential, and you're looking for resources, I would really urge you to look in two places. Go to the Simi Valley Economic Development Office, which can help you and your business. You can call them. The numbers here on the screen, 805-583-6701. If you're in Santa Clarita or the San Fernando Valley, you can contact the Small Business Development Center, which is at College of the Canyons, and that number is 661, sorry for that typo there, 362-5900. Thank you for tuning in, and please, I'll be seeing you next week. Send me any questions you have, any resources that you need. Send me a direct message. Visit my website at SuzetteValadares.com to sign up for updates. And also, please, 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 Operation Childcare is underway. Donate any disinfectant wipes, hand sanitizer, Lysol bottles that you may have at K-Hits Radio in Newhall or at Supervisor Bob Huber's office in Simi Valley. Thanks, guys. See you soon.